What is up, everyone? Today I want to talk about something that I think successful people need to talk about a little bit more. And while I do that, you guys can watch me draw in my sketchbook so you don't have to look at this ugly mug the entire time. So the thing I think successful people need to talk about a little bit more is luck. Because there's definitely luck involved if someone has success. And I understand why they don't want to talk about it, because number one, they want to take credit for their own hard work, because there is hard work involved. And number two, they want to spread the victim's mentality that I could have been successful, I just wasn't lucky enough. And I understand why people don't want to spread that mentality too, because that's taking to the extreme. But I do think luck is important to discuss, because if you don't discuss luck, then everything becomes about hard work. If hard work equals success, that means that you're not successful because you're not working hard enough. And I don't think that is true. I do think that luck is involved in a huge way, because the opportunities that are presented to you will have a huge impact on the type of success that you can have. So this isn't to dismiss hard work altogether. Let's say if you start an early YouTube channel, yes, you were lucky to get on YouTube early, but you still had to put in hard work to get the full advantage out of it. But you still had to be lucky that you chose that instead of trying to become a manager at a Blockbuster or another opportunity that is not available now. There are opportunities that fall apart, but there is hard work involved, so that it's important to also admit that it's both luck and hard work. So what do you do with this information? What you do is you try to become more lucky, and I definitely believe that you can put yourself in a position where you become more lucky. So we're going to do a few exercises. I have a free worksheet that's available on my website. Link is in the description. You don't need the worksheet, you can just use a blank sheet of paper, but if you just want that format, you want the questions on a sheet of paper, that's linked in the description. It's totally free. So the first exercise that we're going to go through is admit that you've had luck, right? So you want to think about things in the past where you've been lucky. Where have you been lucky? Maybe you had a good childhood friend, or maybe one of your parents taught you a very important lesson in the past. Maybe you had some sort of experience that taught you an important lesson that you carried throughout your life. In what ways have you been lucky in the past? Because we don't want to become blind to our own good luck. If you're just living life, there is luck in your life in some way, even if it's a very small way. There is luck in your life, and we want to start by admitting where have we been lucky in the past, so that we can make sure that we're not blind to the amount of luck that we've had. And I understand it's hard to admit that you've been lucky if you're in a bad position. Like if you're watching this video, maybe you're in a really bad position right now. It might be emotionally difficult to admit that you've been lucky, but it's a very important first step if we want to become more lucky in the future. So write down a couple of examples of how you've been lucky in the past. Now, it's important to note that you could have been lucky through negative experiences, right? You could have had a negative experience that taught you a very important lesson moving forwards. And that's also being lucky, because that taught you something that changed your behavior, and that's luck. That is also a type of luck, and I'll give you an example of this. A couple of years ago, I was at a friend's birthday party, and the discussion had turned political. And I was already stressed that day, and I allowed my emotions to boil over, and the discussion went sour because of me. And I cringe thinking about this at least once a week, because it's so painful to think about. But I was lucky that that happened to me, because it made me realize that I need to make sure that I control my emotions. Don't speak if you're going to say something that's just purely emotional. Just don't allow that to happen. Be more in control. And I realized that learning that lesson in a very painful way made it way easier for me to remember and change my behavior. So if I wasn't lucky enough to have that horrible experience, I might have done this mistake or made this mistake continuously throughout my life in very small ways. So sometimes hitting rock bottom and hitting an extreme negative experience can really teach you an important lesson long term. So that's an example of a negative experience that I was lucky enough to have. And that's kind of a hard thing to admit sometimes, especially if it's something very extreme. But there's almost every negative experience has a positive side to it. So if you can find examples of horrible things that have happened to you that have taught you an important lesson, that's even more useful. So you want to write down those examples. Positive things that have happened are easy to write down, but writing negative luck experiences are more difficult to write down. So I'd highly recommend that you try to find some of those. So write those down, and then we'll move on to exercise number 2. So the first exercise was about the past. Now let's think about the present and future. How do you become more lucky? And the way to become more lucky is put yourself in a path where you'll have more opportunities than you've had in the past. So for example, if you want more luck in your social life, let's say you feel like I've been unlucky with friends, I just haven't found friends that I have good chemistry with, or just friends that betrayed you in some way that you don't feel like you can forgive them. Let's say that's your goal, you want to improve your social life. The one way to become more lucky in your social life is to take more classes, find a wider variety of friends. So let's say if you've only stuck to a very small community, let's say you only had friends through school, you want to try to find friends in different areas so you can meet a wider range of people. Therefore, you have more opportunities to be lucky in friendships. Say if you only meet 5 new people every year, the probability that you'll be lucky in your friendships is very low. But let's say you meet 100 or 500 people every year. 500 might be a bit much. But let's say you meet about 100 new people every year, then the probability that you will find new good friends is much greater. So you want to try to find ways to improve your luck through action by looking for ample opportunities. And on top of that, if you're looking at the social life aspect of it, you also want to think about, hey, how can I become a better friend? How can I become someone that people would want to be good friends with? You know, maybe be more happy, find ways to be more exciting to be around, or just be supportive. If you're a very supportive friend, people will want you around, and that will make it much easier for you to be lucky in your social life. Or if you're trying to improve your financial luck, you might want to put forth a strategy where you're continuously looking for better job opportunities. Are you looking for a new job every month or so? You know, maybe at the end of every month you look for better financial opportunities. And that's it within your control. Applying for a new job, a better job, is within your control. Or maybe you need to take time every weekend to build more skills, improve the skills you already have, or maybe find new skills that are of higher value. So you want to focus on, hey, what skills can I improve that will drastically improve this job, but also give me skills that will help me find a better job? And one important skill is communication. Like no matter what your job is, almost everyone will benefit from improving your communication skills, your speaking abilities, your writing abilities. These things are pretty much universal. So those are things you can focus on early on. But you might want to think about what is your job, what skill sets do I need to improve, and how can I find better opportunities? And you need to build a strategy around becoming someone that will be lucky in the future. So you want to set forth a strategy that opens up more opportunities. So for the second exercise, we're going to write down what area we want to be more lucky in, right? Be specific, be very specific. If you want better friends, or if you want better financial situation, maybe you want to improve your family life, be very specific about what it is that you're trying to improve or what you want to be more lucky in, and then write down a strategy. How could you become more lucky? And that's the second exercise. And the most important exercise, obviously, you want to implement these things. So don't just do this exercise and then throw it away. Make sure that you set realistic expectations for yourself. For the social life example, don't try to meet 100 people this year, 100 new people. Set the bar very low at the beginning so you can actually implement things slowly. But you want to give yourself goals that are realistic, but also puts you in line with better opportunities in the future. Now, I know that a lot of what I'm saying is kind of vague. Like this advice is like building better skills and meet more people is very vague, but that's because luck is very specific. It's very difficult for me to give you a specific strategy because luck is specific. What will work for you might not work for someone else. That's why you need to ask yourself, how could you be more lucky? How have you been lucky in the past? How could you repeat some of that luck? Maybe when you were younger, you did something, maybe you sought out new skills more than you did now. That's maybe why you had more luck when you were younger. These are questions that you have to ask yourself, and you have to find patterns in your life to improve your luck. That's why a lot of this advice seems vague on the surface, but if you do this exercise, you write down things that are specific to your life, then I guarantee that you'll find ways that you can improve your situation. One of the last points I want to make sounds kind of harsh on the surface, but I think it's an important question to ask yourself. And that is, how much of your unlucky past was your own doing? And I know that sounds really harsh, and don't be too harsh on yourself about this. But you want to ask, maybe I was unlucky with friendships in the past because I just didn't seek out enough friendships to meet good people, to weigh out the bad ones. You know, there are certain things that are in your control, but it involves courage, right? And I think fundamentally, most of life's problems come from a lack of courage. So if you've been unlucky in the past or you just feel like you haven't had luck on your side, it might be a problem of courage. Maybe you just have a hard time putting yourself out there. And that is difficult, and it is something that I struggle with, especially with like this YouTube channel, putting out videos. These are hard things to do, but they're also worth doing. So you want to find ways to become more lucky, develop your courage, no matter where you're at, even if you feel like you're very self-conscious and you have low self-esteem, even if you're at the bottom, you can definitely develop your ability to be more courageous. Just do it slowly, build upwards. I know that taking responsibility for your life can be very harsh, it can be very difficult, but it's also empowering. So knowing that some of this is within your control. I'm not saying all of it is within your control. Obviously there's luck involved. You know, there are people who just get lucky. They just get lucky and lucky and lucky, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because you can always improve your situation. So the reason why I want to talk about luck is to say that, hey, if you're in a bad position, be forgiving. Maybe you just didn't have the same luck that someone else has. When you're looking at people online, you know, young millionaires on YouTube, there's tons of them, right? And most of those people got super lucky. Most of them grew up in suburban homes. You know, they had access to things that maybe you didn't have access to. Maybe you just didn't have friendships in high school, so therefore they invested all their time into something that would give them success in the future. You don't really know their story, and it's not relevant, really. Just be forgiving with yourself. Understand that other people's success is not a reflection on just hard work. There is luck involved, so be forgiving of that. But at the same time, by discussing luck, we can also say, hey, I can find ways to become more lucky myself. And I think you need both. You can't just be focused on hard work, and you can't just be focused on luck. You need both elements. One allows you to be more forgiving of the position that you're in right now, and the hard work will allow you to improve your situation. And that's all I want to talk about today. I did a bunch of character design drawings like I did in the last video, sketchbook drawings. If you're interested in learning how to draw, I have a bunch of drawing tutorials over on the website with free worksheets that will walk you step by step through a bunch of drawings. So if you've never drawn in your life before, I can guarantee you can learn this skill. Drawing is like taught in a very poor way. I feel like most people can learn how to draw pretty quickly. It is challenging. I'm not saying it's easy, but most people can learn how to draw with the proper instruction. Using worksheets makes things way easier, so check out the website if you're interested in learning how to draw. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you like this, make sure to sign up for the mailing list over on the website, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, whoa.